How good is Texas football? We're about to find out. If you're new here, welcome on into the channel. My name is Thompson. I'm a radio show host based in Houston, and I talk college football daily. I talk NFL, MLB, NHL, NBA, all sports, but I love talking college football, and if this is the type of content you enjoy, this is the channel made for you. So hit the subscribe button down below. Tell me your thoughts on what you think Texas's roster will look like without Quinn Ewers. And like, subscribe, tell your friends, your family, your pastor, your enemies, even the drunken guy passed out in a Walmart parking lot about this channel. Because if we get to 1,000 subscribers by November 15th, I will shave my head live on air. We do 3 live shows Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays. You're not going to want to miss out. So hit the subscribe button, tell everybody and your mother about this channel, and let's continue to talk college football. How good is Texas? We are legitimately about to find out. Because this is the definition of bend, don't break. I know that people talk about this all the time when it's all about a program's identity. How do you handle mediocrity? How do you handle adversity? There's no much more adversity than losing your starting quarterback. In fact, that is the deal breaker of adversity. How do you survive when the one piece, the X factor of your team, and it always is the quarterback. I know there's great weaponry out there, but the X factor of your team, your commander-in-chief, when he goes out, how do you respond? Here's the good news if you are Texas. And if you are waking up this morning on the 40 acres and hoping that Maalik Murphy is the answer, I'm going to give you a couple of books to read. Here's the book of capability. You have a quarterback that was handpicked by Steve Sarkisian on the recruiting trail. He could have gone anywhere. He could have looked at all these other quarterbacks when he was trying to figure out where he wanted to go. And he started recruiting Maalik Murphy while at Alabama as the offensive coordinator. And he never lost hope that that was the kid that he wanted. So this is somebody that Steve Sarkisian is buying stock into and has for a very long time. Here's the other book, the book of receptions. There are so many talented wide receivers on this roster, receivers that we haven't even talked about because of that's how loaded it is. Not many quarterbacks get to work with a premier vertical threat like Xavier Worthy. Not many quarterbacks have a security blanket at tight end like Ja'Tavion Sanders. Not many quarterbacks have a physical outside receiver and a premier route runner like Adonai Mitchell. And then you have other guys like Jordan Whittington and Gunnar Helm. And then out of the backfield, CJ Baxter and Jonathan Brooks. And even players like Jonte Cook and Isaiah Nayor that we haven't even had time to talk about because their roles have been so limited in this offense. Casey Kane, for that matter. When you look at this team, that's what you have at your disposal. And a stout offensive line. And a solid defense. Now, not an elite defense, but still a solid defense. You could be working with worse. And the final thing, the book of standards. This is where you look at Texas's roster top to bottom compared to everybody else in the country that's left on your schedule. BYU, Kansas State, TCU, Iowa State, Texas Tech. Are you better than those teams? On paper, yes, you are. You have a better quarterback room. You have a better receiver room. You have a better run game. You have a better offensive line of a starting 5. You have a stout defense. On paper, you are better than all those teams. Is your culture better? That's what we're going to find out. So this is where we stand with Texas this morning. They are still very much in the running to control their own destiny. Because as long as Steve Sarkisian knows what he's working with at quarterback, with Maalik Murphy, he knows his limitations, his positivity, and what's at his disposal. You have a game plan that should be able to combat and beat anybody in the country, and that's a positive for Texas. That's a massive positive for the Horns. The other thing is, have you watched Maalik Murphy play? Have you seen him when he's on the field, whether it be his high school tape or the orange and white game? Dude's got a howitzer of an arm and makes 65-yard bombs look easy. He may not be Quinn Ewers when it comes to the accuracy, but he definitely has a skill set that can absolutely work in his favor. And when you have that guy, dude, game changer. Massive game changer for this team. Maalik Murphy can be a sufficeable quarterback as long as the play calling presents itself that way. And the same thing goes for what you have with the run game, and the same thing with the passing attack and the defense. So long as the game plan mitigates those minor mistakes, Texas controls its own destiny. That's the main question here. Can Texas still win a Big 12 title? I think so. Can Texas still win a national title? Well, they handle business and they beat everybody along the way and find a avenue of beating Oklahoma for a Big 12 title. Yeah, why not? You're not leaving out number 7 Texas, because every step along the way, they'll climb up that ladder. And there we have it. There'll be a Final Four team. The big question is, how good's your culture? You really are about to find out about Texas. Because the big thing is, then you look at it, wonder back at these old Texas teams. Look back at the history of Longhorn football since they won a national title in 2005. Really, since they went to a national title in 2009. They all have one thing in common. They play up to the standard of their opponent that's better than them and down to the standard of opponent that's not. That's what it's been for years. Even in Steve Sarkisian's first season, they went toe-to-toe with an Oklahoma team that likely should have at least been in the running to make it to the college football playoff. Guess what? They didn't, and they fell apart. And then you look at the way they lost other games. Look at how they lost to Iowa State. Look at how they lost to Oklahoma State. Look at how they lost to Baylor. Look at how they lost to everybody down the stretch. That's what happened to Texas. And then last season, you play up to your standard against Oklahoma, 49-0 win. Then you lose to Oklahoma State, and you lose to TCU. And you play far too close in other games, not to mention you also lost to Texas Tech with a backup quarterback in Donovan Smith. But this Texas team, yeah, they've still played down to the level of competition, like Houston last week. Houston's just lucky to be in the Big 12 this year. They're starting to figure out where are the positives, what do they need to build off next season. They're figuring that part out. The difference between Texas of old and Texas of this season, that Texas team of last year would have let Donovan Smith carve them up in the second half and complete the comeback. That's the difference. And so if culture does stand true, and if the culture is as promising as it looks for the Longhorns, then they still control their destiny based off of talent and status. That's the key element here. Talent and status. And so if you're asking me right now, do I believe Texas can win a national title with Maalik Murphy? Probably not. Can they win a Big 12 title? Yes, I believe so. And you're about to find out just how good of Texas's culture there is. Because we hold all these other teams to the same standard. Great championship caliber rosters do not allow a team to be dictated by one player. Alabama 2020, I'll give you a perfect example of this. They lose Jalen Waddle. Waddle goes out with a torn ACL, and now Mac Jones has one option in the passing attack, Devonta Smith. What does he do? Trust the run game, trust the offense, build more so a more balanced cohesion to where you find avenues to get the ball to Devonta Smith. You win a national title. You put up record-setting numbers in Tuscaloosa. Georgia this year is about ready to go through its first major test. And I'm not talking about an opponent that can hold their own against the Bulldogs. I'm talking about losing Brock Bowers and replacing that production. That's a championship roster. How do we figure out if they are? Play without Brock Bowers. Tell me what you look like. Michigan. Michigan right now is going through the biggest scandal that we have seen drop in college football in recent memory. And dude, the outside noise is larger than Michigan Stadium. The big house is nothing compared to the outside noise of what's going on with Michigan. How do they handle adversity? How do they overcome what's been going on? Championship caliber mentality and championship caliber program. If you believe that you are at that status and you are at that level, this little blip of losing Quinn Ewers, not that big of a deal. Not that big of a deal for now. It's great to have Quinn Ewers. You would love to have him out there because if you know the offense is going to be simpatico, but you don't need to really consider this being a dead in the water type feel. If your culture is up to that standard. Well, is it? Talk to me on Monday. I'm sure we'll have the answer to that one. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.